Hello.
Mr. Humperdinck, how's it going there today?
I'm good. Is this Darren?
This is Darren. The question that I always have is, what do I call you? Do I call you Engelbert?
Oh, you can call me. You can call me Ange. You can call me Engelbert. That's fine with me. Anything.
Exactly.
You call me Humpy. Whatever you want.
I'm not going to call you Humpty, but it's great to see that you are putting out content regularly still. And I don't just mean that you have an EP that's coming out soon or the Christmas special. It's that you're posting these great videos every Tuesday on YouTube, Tuesday Muse Day. Where did the idea come from to do that?
Well, I think it's important to keep in touch with the people that have been loyal to you for all these many years, and that's what I do. That's what I do. I feel it's the right thing to do.
On one of the recent videos, you talked about regrets and that you had some regrets about acting, not doing acting the way that you should have. But I look at you and I say, how many people have had a 50 to 60 year career at a top level like you? It was just very interesting to see that you'd even doubt any part of your career.
Well, I've been very fortunate. I've had a great following, and I've had a great number of great songs to sing. I've chosen the right material, and it's sort of everlasting songs. I can sing "Release Me Today," which is 53 years old, and it sounds the same as it was when I first recorded it. When I do it on stage, and I feel the same way about it because that's the song that really restarted my life.
That's a really good point. The songs are in the same keys as when you were doing them back then. How much of that is actually warming up and practicing versus just good genetics?
Well, I'm as I said, I'm fortunate that my voice has stayed nice and strong. The funny thing, with people who sing, the older you get, your vibrato gets slower. It goes that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But with me, my vibrato is almost vanished. It's almost gone, and I'm singing in a very contemporary fashion now at my age, which is very, very unusual.
I definitely agree with that one. And your new Christmas special that's airing, that's your third one, correct?
This is my very first Christmas special ever.
Wow, I'd read.
And it's on, it's on live streamed on loop.com. Live streamed on loop.com. That's how people can view it. And it's the same as I did my last live stream, but, and it was very successful. As a matter of fact, having this special come out on December the 12th has been great for me because I've been inundated with people wanting to talk about it, and people like yourself who have to promote this Christmas first Christmas concert I've ever done, and it's just great. It's marvelous. It gives me something to do, and I've been very busy. I would say that preparation is harder than work, and it's a difficult situation right now. But my head is full of songs and I'm preparing. I went out shopping for my Christmas trees that are going to be in the house because the program is filmed from my house. So, and I have a son who's helping me with the decor. So, and he's very handy at that sort of situation. So it's a big help to me, and it's having your kids with you,
Yeah. Do I have it correct that at least you did 3 Christmas albums? Even though this is your first special?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I beg your pardon. I didn't quite hear the question, but yes, I have had 3 Christmas albums.
I didn't want to totally get everything wrong.
My first Christmas album was done by an arranger called Charlie Colello, who was an absolute brilliant arranger, and it was it was ahead of its time at that particular time. If you listen to some of those tracks, the arrangements are so magnificent,
Right.
And another one was done by a gentleman called Jimmy Haskell, who's no longer with us, God rest his soul. But he was a brilliant arranger, and it was thrilling to work with him on that Christmas album. And then the next one, of course, was a lot of the arrangements were done by me and my producer and my conductor, my arranger. Mm-hmm. And it's been great. It's been great working on these projects. I love working on arrangements. I do a lot of. I put the ideas down on tape and the bass guitar, all the licks that I want them to play, and they copy it down in music and do it that way.
You mentioned before about choosing your songs. A lot of artists in the 50s and 60s and even the 70s were kind of at the mercy of an A&R person saying, this is the hit song, this is not the hit song. When did you start getting to choose your own songs?
Well, I don't really choose them myself. It's that process is still in action, by the way. Because your producer brings you some songs and he says, I think this might be a good song. And so I listen to it and I'll give my comment. If I approve of it, then we'll go ahead and we'll go along with it, But it's still in action. You still get your producer still comes up with some of the songs,
Right.
It's a together thing, I think two heads are better than one or three heads, whatever it is, But so I think you have to make it. If the three people agree, then it's a go.
Well, I have to assume that you chose some of the songs on the EP that's coming out, which has a Janet Devlin duet and Elton John cover, Bob Dylan cover, and even a Charlie Chaplin cover on it.
Well, actually, the Elton John song, if you've ever watched any of his shows talk shows that he's been on, he talks about this particular song. He said, when I wrote the song, he said, I didn't want to do it. I wanted Engelbert Humperdinck to do it. He asked his production company to send it to me, but I didn't receive it. So I think he decided to do it himself in the end. But all these many years later, I decided to do it and do it my way, of course. But I hope people like my rendition of it, and along with the great Elton John.
Yeah, he was on the Engelbert Calling Duets album,
yes,
right?
Yes, it was, yeah. Actually, he was one of the only ones that came into the studio, and we did it together. He was fantastic. He was and the guy is so talented and everything. So, but what we did was we sat and talked for at least a couple of hours before we even started working on the track. We talked about old times because Elton and I go back a long way. In the days when we were both nobody, and with no names at all, and we're sitting in a coffee bar looking for an avenue to go down, that sort of thing, and in Tin Pan Alley in London.
That's a good point. That your first hit and Elton John's first hit were only about 3 years apart.
That's about it. Yes, that's about it. Yeah, but we sat and talked for such a long time, and then Elton gave me some ideas on how to do the song, and I read along. I think we did a great job, and I worked it on stage, and I did a virtual duet on stage with him, and for a couple of years at least, and it was great. It was great. I enjoyed singing with the great Elton John, who I think is a wonderful man.
Of course. And another track from your duets album that I'm a big fan of is the duet that you did with Gene Simmons. Was that one recorded in the studio?
He's the other one that came in live to the studio. It was Gene and Elton, the only two live people in the studio, and it was amazing.
When you read
all the rest were done with a long way off. One of the great people I loved singing with was Willie Nelson. I'm a big fan of Willie. I'm a huge fan. I play him every morning, and as a matter of fact, I play him when my wife is not well, so I play music to her in the morning, and I usually put Willie Nelson the songs on because she loves him too. So, but Willie, when I did the recording with Willie, he called me up and he says, "Engelbert, if you don't like my performance, I'll do it again for you, my friend."
That was a good and surprising impression there.
Only English people can do that accent.
That's the word, yeah. The band Oasis, whenever you hear them doing a Southern accent, it's actually amazing. But I find that people from Wales and people from London cannot do a good New York accent.
No, they can't do. No, I can't either. How you doing? That sort of thing.
Yeah, De Niro.
How you doing?
Well, back to you here. I've read people over the years putting together documentaries on you that were supposed to be comprehensive, but I'm not sure if they ever came out. I remember reading about The Legend Continues from 2018. Is that something that might come out one day?
I hope so. There's been a problem. There was a problem with my documentary that I did, and it seems to be held up, and it has been held up for about 2-3 years now. But hopefully, one of these days, a documentary will come out about me and my life. It's about time, I think.
And two quick questions, and then you're a free man. And the first question I have is, what is a typical day like for you in the midst of COVID and not being on the road? Because before all this happened, I knew that you were not only touring all the time, but flying home on off days to take care of your wife.
Yeah, I do miss touring, that's for sure. But I think the COVID has helped me just be closer to my wife, and I think it's helped her progress in the healing process. And maybe it was God's way of saying you must stay home, and keep your wife company. And she's the one I love, and I love her more than anything else. So I'm in a way, it's been rewarding for me.
But a typical day for you?
Rewarding for as far as the pandemic is concerned. What are they calling it now? They're calling it a case-demic now, aren't they?
I've heard that once or twice. Yeah.
Yeah, they're calling it case-demic now because it's the thank God the death rate is going down. It's not rising, and they're finding that the medication is working and whatever. It's wonderful. I'm so happy that they're making big progress.
But in terms of your day-to-day, because what you're doing these days is very different than what you were doing 9 months ago, is there a lot of television, or how do you like to pass the time?
Well, it's serious time involved at home. You know what I did this morning?
What's that?
I cleaned 2 cars.
Okay.
I cleaned both my cars, and I was sitting in the garage. I thought, I got to do something so different, besides learning my music and preparing for the Christmas show. And so I started. I cleaned my cars. How's that?
That's a great answer, and that reminds me, we need to clean our car too. So my closing question is: any last words for the kids?
The kids? What do you mean? I don't understand, Darren.
Well, I look at somebody like you who's been successful for many, many years, that has learned a lot, and maybe has some interesting things to pass along about what people could learn or do better.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Well, you know what? I'm a very different person because of how I grew up. I left school at the age of 15, and I educated myself after I left school, and I learned a language. I took Spanish because when I worked in South America, I wanted to be able to communicate with the people. When I worked in Germany, I could speak a little bit of German. If I spoke in Japan, I could say good evening in every language. There's no, even in Russian, Dobro večer, dame I gospoda. That's good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
You ask me in any language, I can say it. But so I learned how to say good evening in languages from all over the world, even China. Go wele ding ne hama,
I'm impressed. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I do hope to see you live when things get normal again here in New York.
Oh, please, God. Please God, from your lips to God's ears, Darren. Yeah. Thank you very much for the interview. I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the very best and stay safe, my friend.
Thanks. Likewise. You too, man.
Thank you.
Paltrocast.